everyone. Okay, I'm gonna knock out videos from last week and this week. Um, okay, I'm gonna do Love and Marriage, Huntsville reunion. Okay, the first part. Um, everyone's all coming in. Of course, people are talking about the fashion. I'm not sure how much I really care that much about the fashion on this show. Um, people had mixed feelings when it came to Letitia's outfit. Some people were like, she can't breathe. That's fair. But the fact that they came in with her and her husband came into the show with boxing gear on, it seems kind of ridiculous. Like I realize that they're kind of leaning into this show, the showmanship of it all. And so I guess I'm supposed to appreciate that. But at the same token, I think it's important for all of us to take note that how much Tisha and Marceau's whole thing is a storyline. So anyway, I do that Carlos starts off by like, do you think y'all good business people? Tisha thinks that she's great and that people are negative about her unnecessarily. Marceau said that Mel and Maurice and Martell were positive, everyone else was negative. It kind of sucks that Marceau will contradict Tisha so much. Hold that thought for a second. Let me pause. Because I hate prank callers. Oh my God. Okay, good. It was a lady downstairs, my neighbor. And I think she called me by accident. Anyway, okay. Stormy and Courtney talk about them being this good power company, and then they tossed it over to them like, hey, do you think that they're actually good business people? And they're trying to be as friendly as possible, right? But I think the biggest takeaway here is that Stormy wants Tisha to realize that it is not okay what you did in regards to the website. And the fact that you're still unable to take accountability for this website is a problem, right? So in 20, she's like, I don't understand why you don't understand that when you have people working for you, that you're accountable. I have a company where I help people get into college, and I had someone working with me and she missed the deadline. And I took it on the head, talked to the person, and I was like, I am sorry. As much as yes, it's her fault. And yes, I got upset, but it's my fault because they came to me. They didn't come to me to work with me because of who I have employed with me. They came because of me. So it's my fault. I take responsibility. And what Tisha is not understanding is this concept that you are supposed to take responsibility for the actions of what other people are doing. And she just doesn't get it. She still thinks that it's the website person and it's not her. And so Stormy's just really annoyed. And then so the whole time Tisha's like really throwing these really low blows. And she's getting and Storm talking about how Tisha needs to pop pills go pop a pill, or Tisha's saying that you need to go pay your bills, and talking about go get your money with the TikTok money. And I'm trying to figure out, how is that shade by her getting paid on TikTok? Like, getting paid on social media is, for especially for companies, is an extra line item. You don't get paid because you don't have that same following. Like, if you could get a TikTok, this is the same woman who tried to have a podcast when Mel started having a podcast. You wanted to have a social media, uh, a way to make money on social media. It did not work. So it's really annoying that Tisha, Tisha's my sword, but I struggle with Tisha, and I've said this before. I would never, she's one of those sores that I would never want to be around, because not only does she try to copy everything you do and does it worse, because she's copying everything you do, but she's taking shortcuts to do everything. She doesn't want to do anything thorough, doesn't want to do anything on her own. She has zero original ideas. And then she shades you when things aren't going as well as she thinks it should be. I have a problem with, and then the whole copy and paste, and then she copies and pasted in a way that is not genuine. You mean to tell me, if so, and then this is what I would also think as a consumer. Someone who is so negligible in copying and pasting policies from somebody else's website, then what if you can't pay attention to that detail? You're going to tell me that you've been working for years to develop anything, some type of beauty product? I don't believe you. It is a copy and paste, because you see that Mel was doing face, and then beauty. She was doing beauty. Now she was doing hair stuff with her daughter. And now you want to do hair stuff with your daughter. Like, I mean, it's annoying. Um, Maurice has this whole okay. We have this talk about sex. Maurice, and this whole, what he said, I think it's fascinating, because clearly has learned a lesson. And he's like, look, he did the whole PC statement. I am learning, and I am a different person, trying to autocorrect what he was saying about it's all in her head. And there was a throw to Mel saying, okay, well, Mel, you said that you never had an orgasm. Is that true? And she's like, yes. Right. So Martell's like, you're a liar. The bed was always wet. Okay, let me explain something real quick. And I've been thinking about this for a week. Um, it's really, okay. Number one, Mel said this to hurt his ego. I think we all know that, but I don't blame it per se on his ego being hurt just because he's Martell. Most men are hurt when you talk about their sex is mediocre. So this is part of the reason why most women will fake it. Because if you love the man that you're with, then you're willing to fake it. Um, I personally have never faked it. Um, and my husband absolutely knows when um, okay, my husband absolutely knows when I come and when I don't come. But here's the thing about this. Here's the thing about this. Okay. They were together since high school. And this is where I think, not high school, college. And this is where I kind of relate here. I did not have sex until after I graduated from college. And the person I wanted to, and that's not necessarily, it was a choice, but the person who I wanted to be physical with, it was, we didn't go that far. And in my mind, because we were raised in church together, I thought that we were going to move to get married, and then we were in that same vein. I know I leave the hype. Sorry, I guess to sleep. Okay. Well, um, sorry about that. Okay, I will do a video about everything that's happening with my uncle and as a warning video to everybody, but you know, that will, I'm gonna wait till everything gets settled first. Okay. Um, so it's not that being physical with a person doesn't feel good. And when you are clearly, male is completely really fertile. When you are young and when you are an extremely fertile person, being wet while you could be wet just by brushing up against, certain people, or just the thought. It Getting wet is very, very easy to some, but not to others. Right. But that is not an indication that a person has come. Now, so when I did finally have intercourse and I was with that particular person off and on for a certain number of years, I never had an orgasm. But I didn't know that I never had an orgasm because it did feel good. So I had no clue until years later when I finally did. And I was like, oh, because I actually was with someone else and I didn't with him either. Um, and then I was like, oh, this is what it's supposed to really feel like. And you really have to be with, I think, a person who, I think there's a number of things. You have to either be with a person who really cares about you physically. And then you also have to be with, or I think it's a really good point to be with someone. No, you knowing your body. And I've had this conversation with the person, and me and her flat out disagreed. I have zero problems with my daughter. And I think that's something that I may actually have a conversation with her when she gets older. Um, Having a conversation with her about exploring her body, because when I was raised, that was not, it was not okay. It was nasty to explore your body, right? And I don't want that narrative to be, because what I would like for her to know is that she can feel good, what it means to feel good in that space, because so many women, studies have shown us like over half of women never had an orgasm before. And that's because if you think about how sex is really taught and discussed, if you really sit and think about it, sex has always been really discussed as a being pleasing of the man. And even as we got into this discourse going back and forth with Martell and Mel, it is a true indicator that he didn't care how she felt. He cared about how he thought she felt, period. Right. And, you know, and I personally, when you love someone, I would never tell them that I'm faking it. And like I said, I've never faked it, but I've never, even with the other people, but they didn't even care, right? That I did not. And I wouldn't even know what it looked like to come at that time. So I don't, well, I mean, I didn't complain. And even with my first, there are things that I did not like that he did at all, but I didn't feel the space to even complain. Um, I didn't because I loved him enough to where I didn't want to hurt him. So this concept of Martell just flipping out is I mean, yes, she's saying it to hurt him for sure. But at the same token, it doesn't mean that it isn't also true. And his response is like, oh, you really don't know uh, basic female anatomy and how we work. And when Carlos asked him, like, so what exactly made you fake it? She's like, when the treatment's not consistent. And now this is very true. When you don't treat me well today, like, even when it comes to even me and my husband, like, when you anger me, it's very difficult, or when you don't, little stuff, taking out the trash. If you do stuff around the house, if you're taking care of other things and you're treating me well, you're taking care of things, then then it's a turn on. Like a lot of people have had these conversations about men about saying, look, you really want women to get really turned on, treat them well, consistently, take care of them, stand up. And then it makes them more malleable when it comes to wanting to come into the bedroom and definitely come. Because for a woman, biologically, it is very difficult to have an orgasm biologically if your mind's not there. It is 1,000 times easier to do it if your mind's already in the moment and your body is in the moment together. But it takes forever when I'm upset and I'm not in the mood and you're trying to get me in the mood. It takes forever for that to happen. It's easier if you do all of the things outside that leads up to that. Then it's like my head's already there, we're already there. This is just going to be an easy trip. But anyway, so Martell, Marceau is sitting with all the ladies and they're talking to him about, hey, like, don't you, how do we feel about him? Is he sassy? Is, all these other kind of things. And I thought it was a nice rapport. He was able to kind of go back and forth. We still have this culture conversation about Stormy calling him a B word. Look, here's the thing. I have a problem with this. Tisha has this read talking about it feels like something's wrong in Stormy's household. Blink twice, Courtney. I mean, okay. Here's the thing. I You're not going to call my husband a B, primarily because he doesn't act like it. Like my husband is not getting into an argument with a woman. And in fact, what he will most likely do if the woman is getting into an argument with him is walk away. I personally will stand in front of him and let's talk to me. Don't even deal with it. Just talk to me. Because he doesn't like to argue with women. The only woman he'll argue with is me. Like, right. Like, he doesn't like to sit and argue with a woman. He doesn't even argue with his sisters. Him arguing, he has to be really angry to get into an argument space. He has a very even kill personality. Golf really helped him with that in age. So the concept of Marcel getting into the thick of it with women is kind of ridiculous. And the fact that um Kim can't even admit that is ridiculous. Kimmy is such a disappointment. I just can't even wrap my head around Kimmy. Kiki comes out at the end. Kiki needs to be off the show. If she can't be, if her whole storyline again is to expose Tisha, I'm done. Tap, I'm out. Because this whole thing of, I just want her to be informed that you have a cheater on your arm. Okay. Okay. And uh I mean I don't want to get Tisha ends the episode saying, you cheated, your husband cheated, everybody's cheated. So why are you over here? And then she does make a point. Look, you have other stories to tell. You have other issues happening in your house, not just about the drugs, but you have all these other things happening. Why must you stay on my business? Good question. That's a good point. And I concur, Tisha. That's the only time you're going to have me agree with you. And on that note, bye.